Okay, good morning. I get so many warnings and errors from this because of my low bandwidth, my bad internet. So I'm just going to apologize again for where I live. It's just a little bit annoying. Today's topic is going to be Halloween because today's Halloween. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to my show. My name's Chuck. This is the Halloween episode of Saturday Morning Wake and Bake. I have Wikipedia up on another screen. I have the entry for Halloween, history of Halloween, and the tradition of Halloween, the trick or treating and the costume wearing and stuff are Celtic in origin. Samhain, I don't know how it's not pronounced that way. It's spelled that way. However it's pronounced. I don't speak ancient Celtic, so I actually have no idea. I don't even speak any Irish or Scottish words properly. So whatever it is, um, it was the it was where we it's where we get the Celtic peoples of Ireland and Scotland and that area. The traditions um, that we practice, the trick or treating and the dressing up in costumes, etc. Uh, this is history, Celtic history. One of the things that I wanted to point out here, which got me on a kind of a went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, was just a just a Christianity did a great disservice to the Celtic spiritual practices, which they called pagan, uh, uh, worshiping of false gods, you know. Uh, so to to respect the earth and to have traditions that uh, respect nature, and you know, Christianity has a whole bunch of angels that are representative of uh, the word I'm looking for, uh, not stereotype archetypes. We have angelic archetypes. Well, uh, the traditions of spiritualism, which respects nature, has archetypes of that, and they're just archetypes. Okay, it's weird that how how readily Christianity condemned every religion that it encountered as it was spreading. That's a that is a product of organized religion, not a product of spirituality. Those who actually practice the teachings of Jesus or any of the, you know, they are, it doesn't, they don't, the church policies and the church doctrines don't necessarily always embrace the spirit of the teachers of the same religion, Jesus, and etc., etc. The the doctrines of organized religion are often in conflict with the spirit of the religion. Loving your neighbor and all that kind of thing. Uh, Love your neighbor, but condemn them to hell if they don't worship the same as you. Anyway, so Halloween is All Hallows Eve, or the day before All Saints Day, and traditionally it has come to represent a time when paganism's okay. We can say, oh, I think this monster's cool, or oh, I think that fairy is kind of interesting, or I think that whatever is, I'm going to dress up like that, and it's okay one day a year to. So in a way, this is my favorite holiday because it doesn't embrace condemnation of of other. It doesn't embrace condemnation. It's a celebration of the differences and you know quote unquote pagan things. So anyway, it's kind of my favorite holiday. Um, I bought. I'll probably wear it when I go out today because I do plan to go out. I bought a Jason mask. The hockey mask thing. Mine glows in the dark, so I plan to wear it to out somewhere this evening, probably up to the convenience store or something after dark, and uh, show it to some of the people that I encounter, in my day-to-day activities. Anyway, yeah, I've got a mask. I'm going to wear it just for fun. But I want to talk about. I'm going to move on. And I'm going to talk about um, trick or treating, is what we call it in the United States. Trick or treating. What's trick or treating is the practice of dressing up in quote unquote, traditionally it was scary costumes, uh, deformed, monstrous faces of demons or whatever. Those were the traditional things. Now it's dress up as whatever you want. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be your favorite superhero, or it can be, I remember one year when I was a kid, me and my little brother were, I don't know, Batman and Superman or some kind of deal. I don't remember exactly what, but store-bought costumes. At the time, it was one of our first store-bought costumes. Uh, but before that, I do remember, it was ghosts. That you'd take a sheet and throw it over your head and cut some holes in it, and you had a ghost costume, or uh, uh, making costumes out of what you had at hand at home, and those are always my favorite kinds of people who create their own costume out of stuff they have or stuff they got easily at like a thrift store or whatever. I like those far better than I like the store bought costumes. But I'm not saying all store bought items are bad. The Jason mask that I have is store bought. I bought it at the dollar store, Dollar General, for $1, and it glows in the dark, like, well, standard kind of that greenish tint, glow in the dark stuff. Um, right now, it's out in my car, and it's too cold for me to go out there and get it. I've been thinking about going out and getting it, but I don't want to go outside this morning. It's just not what I want to do. Don't even want to put my shoes on to do it. So it'll be out in my car when it warms up this afternoon, and I'll start my plans for scaring somebody with my Jason mask. I bought it several weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when Halloween stuff started appearing on the shelves. I bought it, and I was planning to wear it everywhere I went as my COVID-19 mask. I wore it up to the convenience store to talk to my friends up there one evening, and we got a little chuckle out of it. It was fun. I had a fun experience. I was going to wear it everywhere, though. I was going to wear it to Walmart, dollar store, everywhere I went when I went out. And it's not a comfortable thing to wear for me, for one. And some of the reactions I was getting the time or two that I did wear it were startled befuddlement. You're talking 3 weeks before Halloween. Nobody really got it. And it was a joke, and it was I was trying to have fun with it. Other people weren't having fun. So I didn't do that, but I will do it today. I'll do it when I go out today. I'll wear my Jason mask. Okay, so the history um, of that, uh, if I follow the link for trick or treating, it's actually the history of it. It was originally called. It was originally called Origin. Here we go. Uh, uh, let's see. They have it called mumming, which is a traditional type of play from Britain and Ireland from the Middle Ages. That was done this time of year, fall celebrations. Um, Samhain. Uh, Let me see if I can find the pronunciation of that. I'll learn to pronounce it here while I'm doing this. But yeah, around this time, the week it was, they say here October 31 to November 1 to mark the beginning of winter, which was the between the uh, fall equinox and the winter solstice, beginning of winter. It's a festival. It's a celebration. It's a party. Uh, at least as far back as the 15th century, there have been celebrations, customs of sharing soul cakes, treats. You know what I mean? This is where the treats come in. The wearing of costumes, otherwise called guising, goes back to the 16th century in Scotland and later in Britain and Ireland. Um, anyway, let's see here. They don't have a. Sometimes Wikipedia has a recording of the sound of the pronunciation that you can click on and hear how it's pronounced. Yeah, see, I can't even find it anymore. They used to have it. They used to always have that. for words that were not in the language that you're reading in. Anyway, I couldn't find it. I would like to know how to properly pronounce that word, though, since I do claim heritage publicly and often. I will find it someday. Okay, next I want to talk about trick-or-treating is there are, over the past, okay, I remember when I was growing up, one of the, oh, it was a thing that got discussed every Halloween. And here now as an adult, I honestly don't know if there is any, and I'm not going to go to Snopes, somebody else can. But, you know, you always hear about evil people who put razor blades in candied apples and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, poisoned candy, etc., etc., etc. And I don't know if they are more of the, I honestly don't know. And I'm not, you know, I don't mean to, if it turns out that some of these things actually happen and it is an evil thing that we have to be aware of uh, for the protection of our children, then of course, and you know, I'm not talking about throwing all precaution to the wind. I'm just talking about how many of these are, I'm wondering how many of these are actually real things that have happened. Uh, I mean, I remember when we had the Tylenol cyanide scare, and that wasn't even Halloween. That was just randomly somebody decided to be a dick. But um, at Halloween, I don't ever remember reading the next day or the next week about children who swallowed razor blades or cut their mouths open, you know, bled to death. What I don't ever remember hearing any of those, and I don't remember hearing anyone getting sick from dying from poison candy. And I don't ever remember actually reading any newspaper article where they said, "See, I told you so. You got to be careful of that shit." No, I don't ever remember it, but I do remember leading up to Halloween, there was always the fear of that. As a result, and I honestly, like I say, I'm not trying to diminish the significance in any way of anyone who has ever experienced such a thing. Uh, but I don't ever actually remember reading a real uh, news article from a reputable news source or even a disreputable one where they made a factual claim that someone in, you know, Springfield, Arizona, that's a that's a joke. There's supposedly a Springfield in every state. I don't think there's one in Arizona. Uh, Springfield, Arizona. I don't ever remember reading a news article that someone in some town, real town, actually had this happen. Where, you know, I don't remember. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't. It's not something that I remember reading about after Halloween in any significant way. As a result, though, the constant build up to Halloween, worry about, you know, the apples and, you know, razor blades in the apples and poison candy. You don't want to give unwrapped candy. Well, of course you don't want to give unwrapped candy because that's germs. Okay, now you're talking about germs. Sugar is like a petri dish for a lot of germs. So you want candy that's wrapped, of course. Even just the twisty tie wraps is good enough because you're keeping the germs off as long as it's all uh, as long as it's wrapped. And if you get some candy that has come twisty type wraps, the twisted end wraps, uh, if you get some candy like that that has come unwrapped in your trick, it's one piece of candy. You know, it's not like your whole bag you have to throw out because of it. Um, there are some concerns, you know, but I don't think razor blades in apples is a real one, and I don't think poisoned candy is a real one, unless. And the reason I say that is because I think that most parents, they know where their kids are going to go trick or treating, and they know all the homes and families in the area. I remember when we were growing up, we trick or treated in our neighborhood. Now, if my parents had a worry that one of our neighbors was going to poison them, we would not have been poisonous. We would not have been allowed to go there. Hell, we wouldn't have been allowed to go there any other day of the year, let alone Halloween. Okay, so there's some exaggerated sense of fear, I think, with that. But as a result, we now have a new uh, a new tradition in a lot of places in the United States, sponsored by religious organizations, I guess, churches and whatnot. But it's called Trunk or Treat, where people, adults, bring their kids, and there's going to be a mix here. Uh, but adults bring their kids and into a parking lot, and they have treats in their trunk, and they all stand at the back of their car, and the kids walking up and down the parking lot, trick or treating to trunks of cars, supervised by parents at each. This is a really, really safe method, I guess, but it doesn't prevent. Here's the thing that it doesn't prevent. It doesn't prevent some crazy person, somebody who's had a mental break, from doing the exact same thing. This doesn't prevent razor blades in apples. It doesn't prevent poison candy because think about it. You're sending your kids out trick or treating in your own neighborhood where you know everybody, and you know that those people aren't have no ill will towards children or towards your children. You know these people. Well, the same thing is presumed at the parking lot, but at the parking lot, they're not actually your neighbors. These are people from across town. They're people you don't see every day. You actually don't know them near as well as you know the people in your own neighborhood. And if it's not properly monitored, there's room for complete anonymity. You can just show up, you can use a face name, pop your trunk open, and hand out poison candy to a bunch of kids. So I don't know that the trunk or treat thing is actually any better, based mostly based on who's doing it and how well they know the people that are coming to participate and what kind of precautions they are taking. I mean, for a I honestly, you'd think that a school would probably know, but somebody can just show up and say, "Oh yeah, my kid goes to so and so school," but they're at home sick, and then they can hand out candy. I don't know how. I don't honestly don't know what precautions, how strictly they're maintaining the protection of children once they have gotten in a routine of this is how we do it every year and there's a procedure and it's all happy, we just everybody's following the procedure, and so I don't have to actually investigate. Once it becomes routine, I don't think it's any safer than sending kids out to your own neighborhood. You know your neighbors, you know those people. I mean, you live there. I know all of my neighbors. I've been here 5 years almost now, I think. I know who my neighbors are. I know which ones I wouldn't let my kids go to, for sure. I know which ones I would, and I would allow my kids to trick or treat in my neighborhood. I think I don't. I don't have any trick or treat age kids right now. But my point here is there's the traditions are changing, and it's getting ready to change even more now because of COVID-19. COVID-19 has this now a new level of fear. We don't just have poison candy and razor blades and apples and etc. Now we have a real disease that we're being terrorized with. And so there's going to be even more changes away from the traditions that we've embraced for hundreds of years. Traditions that haven't actually harmed us for having embraced them, okay, in the grand scheme of things. But we're moving away from that to more and more social isolation. Social isolation. That's where all of these COVID um, policies. That's what's the trend of each one is of each individual thing is social distancing. Wear your mask so people can't. You're part of it is you're restricting contact to eye contact. That's really all you're getting because half the time you can't understand what people are saying when they're wearing a mask. When they are speaking clearly enough that you can understand them, you don't get all the social cues, the facial expressions that go along with what they're saying. So there's a lot more room for it's closer to texting. When you're wearing a mask and trying to carry on a conversation, it's closer to texting than it is to actual conversation. You can get some vocal inflection, you can get some of that, but you don't get facial cues at all. You just can't get it when somebody's wearing a mask because the stuff in the cheeks doesn't come out. The eyes, yeah, you get some of that, but you don't get the around the nose, this part of the face that does other things that help convey your message. Those are all absent, so you don't know what's going on when somebody's talking to you with a mask. And this is part of what's happening here with the new with this is the first holiday. Okay, last we hadn't actually implemented full lockdown quarantine last Easter, although it was kind of looming, and some places may have, but this is the we didn't have in the summer in the 4th of July Independence Day celebrations. Nobody really. I mean, it was a they practiced social distance, but they still went to the lake. They still shot off fireworks. Because you can shoot off fireworks and be outdoors and be easily be 6 feet away from everyone at all times. That was not effective. But this now Halloween, where we have Halloween get-togethers because the temperature is cooler, so we gather indoors. Uh, this is the first holiday where we're going to have complete disruption of all tradition, with some communities still having, gathering limitations, no more than X number of people, blah, 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 and local organizations not allowing gatherings in their facilities like the churches, or, still, a lot of churches are still, no gatherings here, no church services, nothing like that. They may have their trunk or treat in the parking lot, but there won't be indoor bobbing for apples. There won't be indoor, pin the tail on the dragon or anything. There won't be any indoor games because it's gathering too many people. Uh, the standard fare parties that you used to go to are not going to be happening. colleges and universities are shut down, so there won't be any great. I know the farmhouse fraternity here in Stillwater used to always have a big haunted house at their fraternity house. I think they were doing it back when I was in college here, but this year they're not. I don't know what the status is with university policies and for fraternity row and all that. I don't know the fraternity council. I don't know what their policies are, but for whatever reason, Farmhouse Fraternity has rented the um, the fairgrounds expo, the fairgrounds expo building for theirs, which is going to be going on. It was last night and tonight, I think. Their spook house, haunted house thing. So it's actually going to be probably this year going to turn out to be the biggest and best uh, spook house or fun house that they've had in in recent years because they have a bigger space and they're more. The guys that I saw, I encountered a few of them the other night when I went to the convenience store at midnight. I encountered there were four guys from Farmhouse Fraternity up there buying supplies because they were working on their. It was midnight. They're working on on a Thursday night or whatever. They were working on their spook house, getting it ready to open up for the Halloween weekend out at the fairgrounds in the middle of the night. I mean, they were still working on it at midnight. I don't know how long they had been working on it, and they were just nice guys that you. Farmhouse is one of the of all the fraternities here. I'm not saying any of them are good. What I am going to say is of all the fraternities here, Farmhouse Fraternity is it's for the agriculture majors. What's called farmhouse. It's for and it's comprised of a great many um, local. I say local. Their state is a state university. Um, Kids who were raised in farm life or want to be part of farm life or have a history of farming and want to go in their family. There's a lot of that. So they're the kind of guys that you remember who grew up on a farm or a ranch or whatever. If you think about those kinds of people, they're usually pretty well balanced people. Most of them aren't. That's a very healthy. Growing up on a farm out with nature and with animals and etc. Is one of the healthiest environments that people can. Sadly, we can't all do it in modern society, but it really is a healthy environment that those people they have they're well-rounded people, got good heads on their shoulders, and these were all really nice guys. Farmhouse has a really good reputation here in Stillwater, and I'm glad that they're the fraternity that does this every year because of any of the fraternities. It's the Farmhouse is the only one I would trust to do something like this safely. And they were out there working on it anyway, midnight, trying to get ready. This year they're going to have a really big uh, spook house out at the, or having, I guess. They had it last night and I think night before, and I think it's going to go on tonight too. But it's probably the biggest one they've ever had. Maybe, I don't know, because they rented the expo building for it. Um, I wanted to go, but yeah, it, almost 60 years old. I probably could, and I have trouble walking distances, so I probably couldn't have made it through their spook house. But I still found it interesting that they were doing it, and they were not letting COVID-19 stop them. And I hope there are other places in the United States that are equally determined to have a good Halloween and continue to embrace the traditions that we instead of trying to create something new and and turn Halloween into something that it never was. I'm thankful for the ones who are continuing to embrace tradition. I need to go back over here and check, make sure I'm still streaming. It appears that I am. Yep. So far, so good. So yeah, this year, make your tonight you can make your Halloween mask, your COVID-19 mask, because most of the places just say face mask required. They don't require it to be made of anything. So when you go out, you can put on your Wonder Woman mask or your Superman mask or whatever it is, your uh, Freddy Krueger mask, whatever you want to wear. Technically, that in, you know it's defensible as a face covering, according to the very vague and uh, ambiguous guidelines they have out there for everything. Um, I want Halloween to be fun this year. I hope it's fun. It's my favorite holiday of all. So I hope you have a fun Halloween. On my gaming, I'm looking forward to Halloween being over because we have had illusions all month long starting October 1st. And I'm ready to be back, have my character, not have an illusion forced on it. It's annoying. It creates lag in the game and stuff. So I'm looking forward to it being over for my gaming. But I really have, I look forward to Halloween when it's coming up. I like seeing all the stuff in the stores. I like seeing the decorations, uh, the jack-o'-lanterns and things. I like seeing all that. It's a, it's festive. Halloween is festive, and it should be festive. Um, but it's also tradition, and so it should embrace tradition. So if you're worried about someone putting razor blades in apples and handing them out, then you need to be worried about that person year round, not just on Halloween. Okay, and you should be aware of where your kids are going trick or treating. Um, Other than that, I just hope you have a safe, happy Halloween. I'm gonna close this one up early because I wanted to take you fishing on my game, but I'm gonna save that till next week because I woke up and realized, oh, today is actually Halloween, and I had thought about it, but I didn't really. I was preparing something else, so I kind of slapped this together with some YouTube and some of my own personal thoughts. Uh, I I hope you have a happy Halloween, and I'll get back to my game next weekend. Okay, so now I have to do this. I'm going to try to close this. I'm working on closing my videos properly. So I have to do this fade out. Okay, here I'm going to fade out now. And then I have to watch for it